Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson? Previously on the Rod Peterson Show.
The winner of the poll yesterday, which was day 10 of our Jersey bracket, reverse retro, was the Edmonton Oilers. They barely nudged out the Calgary Flames. Whose reverse retro is better? The vote was 52% to 48%. Today, Darren again came up with a Jersey matchup, and Clark has the photo. We're pitting the St. Louis Blues against the Nashville Predators. Which of these reverse retros are better? Darren and I both voted for the St. Louis Blues, and I don't even really like the St. Louis Blues jersey, but I just think it's better than Nashville's, which I guess they're following the path of retro. It's what they wore, I think, their initial several seasons as an expansion team in the 90s. But that hasn't got me running to the jersey, to the souvenir store. The Blues one might. That Blues one kind of looks old school. But I don't have any idea. Who's winning the poll, Clark, on YouTube? And it's 1:11 Eastern, by the way. I'm just going to point that out. St. Louis winning 66% of the vote on YouTube, Darren, by the way, just so you know. And as I said, 1:11 Eastern.
Beautiful.
Visualize a positive outcome. St. Louis, 67% on Twitter, too. So, again, I'm a little surprised how much people have taken to these retro reverse jerseys, but I'm here for the discussion. It's fun.
Get ready for the Rod Peterson Show.
It's the 30-year anniversary this week of Gary Bettman being named the commissioner of the National Hockey League. And I just wonder, how do we rate Gary Bettman as the commissioner of the National Hockey League? Quite frankly, I don't have a problem with it. The only problem I have with Gary Bettman was, as a New Yorker and a basketball guy who knew nothing about hockey, he figured it out. Got to give people a chance to figure it out. If they don't figure it out, then that's on them.
This is the Rod Peterson Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show on a Wednesday. Welcome inside your favorite daytime sports and entertainment talk show. I can guarantee you're going to have just the best time over the next 2 hours talking sports. We've got a lot of things to get to. I'm going to pass along a few tips because I've had to use them myself. We've got from the NHL's Bermuda Triangle, Darren Moose DuPont joining us here today. How you doing, Moose? Good to see you. How are you?
Doing well. Doing really good, yeah. How are you doing, Rod?
I'm good, but I want to say that first world problems, we all have to remind ourselves of first world problems. I'm sitting here, I'm going to reach the half-century mark in 2 days. I'm going to be 50 in 2 days. 50! When my dad turned 50, I was like, if we can just get a couple more years out of him, I'd be happy. He's ancient. So, yeah. Listen, I'm pretty good, I think, with my cellular phone, but I'm sitting here trying to tweet the poll, and all of a sudden, Clark is writing a novel on the WhatsApp. Bing, 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 bing. And I'm like, ah! Woo-sa. You know what I mean? It keeps bing, bing, bing.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out how to... Oh, it's Morgan. Okay, your name came up on it. It's Morgan, not Clark. I'm like, is this really the biggest problem that you have right now? So I would advise everybody, especially around this holiday season, to just walk it back a little bit, because I know everybody's losing their stuff on various things. Really, Rod? This has you wound up? There's your first life tip right out of the gate. And then before we get to the quick six show horn here, I was on my way into the Panthers game last night. Here I'm going to have to again take my own advice. Guy says to me, yeah, I love your show. Love your show. I really love the NHL talk, but that CFL talk, it's boring. Boring. Clearly, he was not watching the episode, Moose, where I said, what would you do if you walked into McDonald's and said, can you bring back the pizza? You know what I mean? What would they do? They would throw you out. So I'm going to tell you what we said 4 years ago when we started this thing. They're just finding us now. They're just finding it. And way back in year one, I said, what does it say up on the wall? It doesn't say Sports Center. It says The Rod Pedersen Show. It's going to be what I want to talk about. And if you don't like it, don't watch. So that's it continues like almost every day. And I just think that they're not going to get it. And yet everybody wants something, yet they're all watching. So that's the good thing. And the thing is, have you had ESPN on this morning, by the way? Have you had it on?
Not today. Today I have not.
Okay. They've spent at least 2 solid hours on the fact that Cowboys linebacker Micah Parsons called out Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts on a podcast saying he's not so great. The team's great. He's not. 2 hours, Darren, and they're still going. Listen, I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm getting sick of the Dallas Cowboys, thanks to them. And I don't see Falcons fans, shout out WQEE Rhino Radio. I don't see Falcons fans tweeting, why don't you talk about our team? I don't see San Jose Sharks fans writing ESPN, how come you don't talk about our team? Okay, I can't. I just need to woo-sa and block out the noise. Thank you for letting me get that off my chest. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan? We live in a society of whiners and complainers, and I could go on with some Yellowstone quotes, but not. We're here to talk sports today, and that's what we're going to do. And we're going to open with the National Hockey League because we are now a nationally ranked hockey podcast in Canada. FYI, that's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. It came out this week, and we're going to continue putting our pedal to the metal, and we're going to start with the Edmonton Oilers. Zach Hyman netted the first hat trick of his career, and the Oilers doubled up the Predators 6-3 in Nashville. Neon Leon added 2 goals and 3 assists for Edmonton. Connor McJesus pitched in with a goal and 3 helpers. And Jack Campbell made 39 saves for the Oilers, who have won 3 of their last 4 outings. I just took a peek into the comments, and I see viewer Jeff Gordon saying, how come the Oilers always score so many goals when Jack Campbell's in goal? You're asking questions you know the answer to. They score more goals when Jack Campbell's in goal because they have to. Darren, you've played enough sports, and I think you said you've coached it, as have I, and been around it. Teams play differently depending on who is in at key positions. That's a fact. Hey, guys, we got a crappy rookie kicker in this game. We're going to have to get it a little closer to get him into range, if you want to use a football term. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would think, Jeff, you understand that. The Oilers and any team plays differently depending on who's in goal. That's my read on that. But last night I was at FLA Live Arena at the Panthers game, and I'm seeing everybody, including TSN announcers, scoffing at Jack Campbell. I guess I didn't even see the highlight. He must have let in a softie early on for the Oilers, but they went on to win. So do you have any thoughts on that before I move on to your Leafs?
No, you're right. You nailed it. You play differently in front of different players, and right now they feel like they want to support Jack Campbell or need to support him a little bit more and score a few more goals. So, yeah, that happens.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, people think that I'm outspoken and I have these bold opinions. You people don't understand. I've got about 200 times more opinions. I bite my tongue. I was done on Jack Campbell 2 years ago when he was with the Leafs and he let in a floater between his legs in Game 7. And you remember the game against Montreal. You They're not going anywhere with this guy, Jack Campbell. And the Oilers signed him, and everybody's all excited. They're trouncing on Mike Smith's grave, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Maybe I need to be a little more outspoken, Darren. What do you think? What do you think?
Always. The more we can get, the better. I think it's great.
Seriously?
But no, you're
okay.
No, things are good the way they are. It ain't broke. We don't need to fix it.
I'm just saying, I got a lot more opinions, man. I bite my tongue. And I think I'm going to have to let them roll a little more. And by the way, last year, I said Stuart Skinner's the best goalie the Oilers have. And he still is. He was last year. He is this year. If they're going anywhere, it's going to be with Stuart Skinner. There's my Oilers thoughts off the top. Now in Toronto, Mitch Marner had 2 assists to extend his point streak to 23 games. And Ilya Samsonov made 28 saves for his second straight shutout as Toronto thumped last place Anaheim 7-0. Alexander Kerfoot scored twice for Toronto, while John Tavares and Pierre Engvall each had a goal and an assist. Listen, you Leafs fans aren't doing a victory lap over that one, are you? 7-0 over Anaheim. But it's a good situation. Marner's streak's still going, and the Leafs are winning. You can't ask for much more.
No, you can't. A clean game. Really, it was a lack of power plays and special teams opportunities in that game. Despite the score, you're seeing the last couple of nights, some depth scoring coming through from Toronto, which I think is important. The Engvalls and the Kerfoots, that bottom 6. So I think that's important. They're getting that process right. But you're right. Like, it's no need to celebrate and put a parade party together, but it is a good sign heading into the break.
Absolutely. Christmas break, you're saying?
Well, I mean, 2-day break,
what?
yeah. But heading into Christmas, heading into Christmas.
Okay, I'm going to not get trapped in the viewer comments because there's some good ones in there. They're trying to suck me into the cesspool. Not time for that yet. We'll get to them later. By the way, coming up, Mike Benton. Did I mention Seattle Kraken broadcaster Serena Taylor, hockey analyst here on the program? She's going to come in, drop some bombs, and walk away, which she normally does. And Robert Vanstone, post-media columnist, will be joining us too. We continue. Jonathan Marchessault scored a pair of power play goals, and the Golden Knights held on for a 6-5 victory over the Jets in Winnipeg. I would suggest of the 12 in the NHL on Tuesday night, this was the best game. The final minutes of the game were action-packed with Willie Karlsson scoring into an empty net for Vegas with 84 seconds to go, and then Jets center Mark Scheifele completed a hat trick with 2 seconds left to go. It was wild. I didn't even come back. What the heck did I do? Came back from the Panthers game. I didn't turn that one on. I turned on the Chicago game where Ovi was going nuts, and that's coming. But I don't know. Winnipeg, Vegas. If that were a playoff meeting, sign me up. 6-5. We're back to 80s hockey. The goalies had their night, Darren. It was Monday. Tuesday night, it was bonkers in the NHL.
It was, and you know what? Forget about the goalie. There was still 3 or 4 shutouts last night in the National Hockey League. So some goalies still had a night. But yeah, that was fun. 6-5. And if you're right, sign me up for a playoff series between Vegas and Winnipeg right now. If it's like that every night. Result is in doubt. Not sure what's going to happen. Lots of great stuff. I thought it was a fun night in the NHL.
Speaking of goalies with shutties, Sergei Bobrovsky stopped 22 shots in his first shutout of the season in Florida's 4-0 win over Columbus. The Panthers got goals from Brandon Montour, Matthew Tkachuk, Alexander Barkov, and Sam Reinhart as they halted a 2-game skid. It wasn't even a game, hardly. It was on ESPN. So for those that watched it, I hope they enjoyed it. I mean, you can't have every game be good. But of the 12 games in the NHL Tuesday night, that was probably the worst, and I was there. And Columbus isn't very good. What night is it? I guess the Panthers just wore their third jersey, or their retro reverse jersey on Sunday against Seattle. Now would be a good time to tell you our poll question today for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center, and it is this. It's day 12 of our jersey bracket, retro reverse. We're getting to the end of round 1, and today we pit the Washington Capitals up against the Columbus Blue Jackets. We're asking you to vote today on which third you like the best. And for me, it's Washington, and that Columbus one really hasn't changed a lot in their 20 years in the league. It's an easy Washington for me, dog. Our poll question dailies for Capital Auto Mall. Universal Collision Center. Capital has dealerships all across the Canadian prairies and the state of California. Quick, Darren, you see that Capitals jersey. What's the first name you think of?
It's two. Peter Bondra and Olaf Kolzig, for me, are the two Washington Capitals I think of.
Mine was Bondra. Mine was Peter Bondra, and it pretty much ends there, although Ole the goalie's a good pick. And for Columbus, who's the first name you think of when you look at that?
Rick Nash. I think of Rick Nash, early days with the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Nice.
I'll take Washington.
I think of Cole Sillinger. Why not? And I don't know. We do have our top five, bottom five coming up, and you can guess which of those the Columbus Blue Jackets are in. But I mean, I'm old. What I say, I'm turning a half century on Friday. I remember calling games in the Western Hockey League when Brad Larson was playing for the Swift Current Broncos. He's now the grizzled coach, first-year coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets, of course. But I was right behind him, Darren. I was like 2 feet from him, behind the Columbus bench. And if you saw or listened to my commentary this morning, if I had a nickel, I shouldn't laugh, but for every time he rolled his eyes, expressive. You got to love coaches, right? And it's just like, they let in a goal in the final. There's like 30 seconds to go in the period. He's just like, oh, you poor bugger. Been there, yeah. What else? Tampa Bay beat Seattle 6-2 Tuesday. Before I move on any further, on the retro reverse, Buffalo spanked LA 6-0 last night. Sabres are in their black and red jerseys and silver with the bison head on the chest. Serena said to me this morning, she's like, is that Buffalo's retro reverse? I'm like, no, there's this blue. She's like, they got 4 jerseys this year. I'm like, yeah, can you believe it? And in Florida, like, it's hard to keep straight. And in Florida, it's, and I don't think they care. I do not think they care. But in Florida, I was sitting with my guy Thad, one of the many friends that I've made here in South Florida, and he had his Barkov baby blue Panthers retro reverse on. He's like, it's not even special, Rod. Everybody's got one of these. If they pan the crowd at FLA Live Arena, those jerseys are so beautiful of the Florida Panthers that they're flying off the shelves. So if I was a jersey guy, I would wear one. I would buy one, but you never see me in a jersey. You just don't. But I love it.
That's right.
Anyways, Tampa beat Seattle 6-2. Dallas knocked off New Jersey 4-1. Boston over the Islanders 4-3. Carolina blanked Detroit 1-0. Colorado got past Philadelphia 3-2. And the San Jose Sharks knocked off Arizona 3-2 in the Shark Tank. We're going to pause. We have breaking news in the Canadian Football League that I will get to when we come back. We've got NBA trophy names, NFL, Ovi's Chase, top 5, bottom 5, some junior stuff. We'll be right back. It's the RP Show. No Game Plus TV today. We're on the streams, YouTube Live, your favorite podcast platform, and, of course, on the air in Metro Atlanta, WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of prime. Big time, big time, big time, big time. Big time. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might injure your back in a way that causes nerve damage or partial loss of mobility. Take safer steps with WorkSafeSask.ca.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hello, welcome back, everybody. We are having a big time on Canada's favorite daytime sports and entertainment talk show. And we do have, before we bring the Moose in, breaking news from the Canadian Football League, which we'll spend more time on later. But the BC Lions announced on Wednesday morning that co-general manager and head coach Rick Campbell and co-general manager Neil McAvoy have signed contract extensions through the 2024 season. Lions COO and President Dwayne Vino said in a news release, if you look at the most successful organizations in pro sports, it all starts with stability and continuity at the top. Rick and Neil are as good a tandem as there is in this league. And I would agree. I say they should have won GM of the year if they had such a trophy in the CFL. If we can bring the Moose in here. And John Ohm from Winnipeg writes in and says, wowzers, the Riders have an offensive coordinator. They do. They announced Kelly Jeffrey yesterday. Maybe we'll spend more time on that later, but probably on Friday. I see it's been reported that I was called sloppy in my reporting, that the Riders offered that job to Pete Costanza, one of many that turned it down. I was told that that's not the case. I see they're reporting that's not the case. It's the case. I had some calls this morning saying, that's a lie, that they're saying that Pete wasn't offered the job. I'm like, yeah, I know. But the worm's turning, and people are seeing things for what they are. We do have the top five, bottom five coming up, but I'm going to spend, we're only on point two here, the quick six, Darren. Washington Capitals star Alex Ovechkin has become the third NHL player to score 800 career goals. He notched his 29th career hattie as the Capitals down the Blackhawks 7-3 at United Center. And I just wonder what you thought of the scene if you saw any of the game or the highlights. I was watching the game. Ovi hits 800. There's only three guys that have done it. Gordie Howe, Wayne, and now the Great Eight. And they're chanting, OV, OV, in Chicago, which I think is amazing. That is a honor that's reserved only for legends. He deserves it. And I'm getting on board with the Gretz chase. I really am, man. I can't say whether I hope he gets it or not, but I'll be following it very closely.
He's hungry. He wants it. Like, he's not just inching his way towards it. He's blowing the doors down. Like, he's gotten hat tricks. He's gets the puck on his stick. Forget about him. So what if there's empty nets? Gretzky scored his fair share into the empty nets. He's trying to get those goals. He wants it. And with that kind of fire that we're seeing from Alexander Ovechkin, I think he's going to get it too now. I never thought it was possible 3 years ago, but now sign me up. And that's respect. When you talk about the opposition crowd chanting Ovechkin's name, that's cool. And he has legend status when he hits 800 like that. That's unbelievable.
The other day in Winnipeg, we said Alan May, our good friend Alan May, was on the Capitals. He was the rinkside reporter for the Capitals for that game. Last night, he told me he got moved into the booth. He called the goal for OV the 800, Alan May. So how awesome is that? Everybody's in a good mood around that. It's very positive. By the way, Kinsman Telemiracle, we're into the short strokes now, folks, for the 50-50 online raffle. The draw is going to be made on Friday. I implore you, as does the Kinsman Foundation, if you haven't purchased your online tickets yet, please do so today. Telemiracle5050.com. You only have to be in Saskatchewan and 19 years of age or over to purchase your tickets. We got, about 48 hours left to get it done. It's the biggest fundraiser of the year. We had the chairperson on yesterday, Scott Lamb, explaining exactly where the money goes. It's to help out the disadvantaged. What more needs to be said? Get your tickets, and thank you for doing so from us. It's time for the NHL Top 5, Bottom 5, and it's always fun to do this. People love to hear it. Let's go with the top 5 teams of the National Hockey League. Number 1, it is the Boston Bruins. They have the NHL's best winning percentage at .839 and an NHL best goal differential of plus 49. The Bruins are mulching everybody. Best start ever. Jim Montgomery, hashtag recovery work. Way to go, Jimbo. Number 2, the Toronto Maple Leafs. I got to say it. They may not be the best team, but they're the hottest team. The winners of 4 in a row. Toronto's number 2. Number 3, the Vegas Golden Knights. You got to put the number 1 team in the West in there somewhere. And apparently, Kelly McCrimmon knows what he's doing. Number 4, the New Jersey Devils, because they're the New Jersey Devils. Last week, they were number 1. They've slipped down to 4, but they're still in the top 5. And number 5, Sidney Crosby. And the Pittsburgh Penguins. They've won 6 in a row. They're the 7th overall team in the NHL, but they're one of the hottest. We've moved him up to number 5, and I'll be seeing him here in Sunrise, Florida, Thursday night. Now to the bottom 5. Sorry. Don't shoot the messenger. The 28th team in the NHL, 5th worst, is the San Jose Sharks. The trade Erik Karlsson talks have started. Do it. The 29th team in the NHL, 4th worst, is the Philadelphia Flyers. Losers of 4 in a row, and call Tom Petty because they're free falling. 3rd worst team in the NHL, 30th overall, is the Columbus Blue Jackets. If you look up in the dictionary the term one-line team, you see this year's Columbus Blue Jackets. 31st team in the NHL, 2nd worst, is the Chicago Blackhawks. Say it with me. Blow it for Bedard. And the worst team in the National Hockey League is the Anaheim Ducks, who I'm not thinking are even an NHL team. Have we heard the names Zegras and Terry all year? That's all I'm going to say. There's your top 5, bottom 5, Moose. I wrapped it up nice and tidy for you from Bet Regal, our exclusive betting partner. Any arguments with those before we move on?
I don't know that I can, but with New Jersey slipping, the only team I see maybe climbing in right now is Columbus, who have points in 9 of their last 10. 6 wins and points in 9 of 10. That's the one team that maybe is on their way up. The Rangers have won 4 in a row, but they're a little bit back. So, no, nice and tidy and interesting top 10 or top 5, bottom 5 this week.
We got to talk about this. In theaters now, your local landmark cinemas, Violent Night. When a team of mercenaries breaks into a wealthy family compound on Christmas Eve, taking everyone inside hostage, the team isn't prepared for a surprise combatant inside. Santa Claus, played by David Harbour. He's on the grounds, and he's about to show why this Nick is no saint. Moose went to it last night. People are asking for your review. Violent Night. What do you got to say?
I thought it was good. It was interesting. It's not a take the family to the movies kind of feel good Christmas movie, although it kind of gets there. I would say it's a mix of your favorite feel good Christmas movie an adult version of Home Alone, and Deadpool, because it's a little gory, all mixed together. It ends up being kind of fun and feel good, but it is not for the faint of heart. I thought it was fun. I'll give it 1.5 thumbs up.
Nice. So don't take the kids, is what you're saying. Is there a restriction on it?
I don't
An age
think
restriction?
so.
Do you know? Okay.
Maybe a 14A, maybe. But no, they show all the gruesome stuff.
Violent Night in theaters now. And I might add, holiday classics are in theaters now, too. So don't take the kids to that, but you can take them to Elf. After discovering he is a human, a man raised as an elf at the North Pole decides to travel to New York City to locate his real father. Starring Will Ferrell and James Caan. You can figure out which one's which. Elf, playing now at your local Landmark cinemas as part of holiday classics. I just love it. I'm going to throw this in before we jump to the CFL. The NBA's MVP award has been renamed the Michael Jordan Trophy. The league made that announcement Tuesday and unveiled the new designed award. The trophy's been named for Maurice Podoloff for about 60 years. MJ won the trophy that was named for Podoloff 5 times. But now the league's best player each year will receive a trophy named for the 6th-time champion, Michael Jordan. I don't like it. This came on my radar this morning. Our buddy Sean Simpson from TSN 1200 Ottawa, former Capitals goalie, tweeted this. He's like, should the NHL do this? And he's like, close to 70% said no. When I first heard the NHL was considering changing the names of the trophies, I forget about the NBA, whatever. To the NHL, could you imagine them doing this? The Art Ross, the Hart, the Jack Adams. They already renamed the division, so I'm not necessarily sure they wouldn't do this. And when the NHL was talking about that a couple years ago, it just turned my stomach. And then that's kind of where I'm at with the Michael Jordan thing. But you can't stop these people from doing these dumb things. Where are you on this happening? The Michael Jordan Trophy is now the name of the MVP for the NBA.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is. It's not. It's going to ruin it for us, for our generation, and it'll be cool for the next generation, the ones who never got to watch Michael Jordan, just like I never watched Art Ross and the Harts and got to experience Conn Smythe and these people impacting the game. I think once Gretzky and Messier and Lemieux and Gordie Howe's passed, but once they've all passed, in more in memory, I think maybe we change the names then, but I don't think now. I think it would just confuse things, and it wouldn't have the impact that it deserves.
Oh man, as kids, I mean, I just grew up and we just knew. But that's my family. My family's different than every other family. We felt like, Lester Patrick was part of the family, or Conn Smythe, But
Right.
for anybody that wasn't, they would go look up who these guys were. And I guess it's just not that important anymore. The NHL just must be thinking in the NBA, as long as you watch the games and buy your tickets and buy the jerseys, we don't care that you don't know what our history is. This is not a hill I'm willing to die on. Let's move on to the 902 text line, 902-518-3033. You can reach us in the studio anytime. Sean in Vancouver's watching. He says, wow, imagine Bedard on the Hawks with Patrick Kane. Would be fun to watch. Yes, but it won't happen. Patrick Kane will be unloaded at the NHL's trade deadline this year. They'll never play together. Dave is watching in Niagara Falls, Ontario, and he says, good day. Is your show off today? Usually on Game Plus channel, but some video game is on here. I got to get my CFL NHL fix. Hurry, Rod. Oh, I just found you on YouTube. Thanks, guys.
How about that?
From Jeff Pearson in the Energy City. He says, Esteban's Braden Pahal played for Vegas last night. How about that? What's that? 3 games for him with Vegas, Jeff, and 2 of them being played in Winnipeg. I love that Braden Pahal. You were there in Esteban. How classy is that kid? How proud should they be of that kid in Esteban?
Oh, yeah.
Todd in Red Deer. Hi, Rod. I thought your comments on the Stampeders and Huffnagel were spot on. The correct culture allows and encourages coaches, players, and executives to advance to the next level of their career, which clearly the Stampeders are doing. P.S. Love the show. Keep up the fantastic work. That's the thing is, we were in Calgary in October when Rash initially broke the news that Huff was stepping down, and we were around Calgary people and football fans, and they were like, Huff's not going to leave us in the lurch. We'll be fine. And they're right. Yeah. Next. Nothing to see here. Regarding the CFL schedule coming out, which I wasn't going to spend a lot of time on, like if I got told last night going into FLA Live Arena, CFL talk's boring, which I don't necessarily agree, but I'm sure as hell not going to spend a lot of time on the schedule being released. But Chris in Heidelberg, Ontario writes in quite a few comments. He says, the Riders aren't playing in Hamilton next season? Man, that means I have to go to Toronto to watch them. Then he says, I just found out the Sask-Toronto game will be a neutral site game, so the Riders don't come to Ontario next season at all. Very disappointed. This is part of the reason why I do hesitate to talk about the CFL stuff. Danny Austin's now, and I love Danny Austin, full disclosure. He's moved from covering the Calgary Stampeders to the Calgary Flames, and he's basically rained all over the CFL, saying they don't care about the Calgary Stampeders, the schedule sucks. It just ain't that positive, man. What there is to talk about. So I guess your take on that, let me give you this before we bring in Mike Benton from Seattle. What's your take on the BC Lions extending their co-GMs through 2024? That's for the next 2 seasons.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. I think they've shown that they've put a winning team on the field. They've got a winning culture in BC, and the organization does. So I think the more continuity you can continue to have through the team, the better. So I love it. I think it's good. I say keep the ball rolling.
Jeff in Redmond, Oregon watching says, I'm guessing Nike paid the NBA for the award to name change to sell more Air Jordans. Well, if money's involved, then I get it. Right? The RP show presented by Bet Regal or whatever. Yeah, well, if that's what it is, then you're the first that said that, but maybe that's the case. Speaking of the Pacific Northwest, we're going to go there next with Mike Benton, Seattle Kraken broadcaster. Moose, see you in hour 2.
Yeah.
We're on the streams only today, video-wise. YouTube Live today, your favorite podcast platform, and on the radio in Hotlanta, WQEE, The Key, 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might fracture your wrist, resulting in a lifetime of painful arthritis. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Roughriders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop staffed by PGA of Canada professionals is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM certified pre-owned trucks and make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Just a couple quick viewer comments regarding changing trophy names. Allie in Texarkana says, I don't like the idea of changing the names. I'm with you, Allie. From Swerve95, he says the CFL football is the size of a 20-pound propane tank. And he goes on to say, my Vikings defense couldn't stop a runny nose. Randy from Winnipeg, it would be a shame if they changed NFL trophy names. History matters. So, yeah, people are against it. NBA changing their MVP trophy to the Michael Jordan Award. Anyways, we got Mike Benton with us, KJR Seattle. Kraken pre- and post-game host. Hey, Mike, I was able to watch your club the other night through here in Sunrise, and hey, I was thinking of you through the whole game because you said they were going to be good. You knew something, Mike.
We're 30% of the way roughly here through the season, Rod. So, I mean, hey, don't count on me for lotto numbers, but at least my advice is worth something to you. Is that right?
Yeah. And you nailed it, dude. Yeah, you call the games. You're on the broadcast. Matty Benier scores a minute into the game. I said, this guy looks like Mark Messier out there. You mentioned Bjorkstrand and what an addition he was going to be to this team. Martin Jones is playing like Vladislav Tretiak. And to be honest with you, I'm wondering how long these guys can keep it up because they look like a real team, Mike.
They've gotten past now the point, Rod, I think, of sustainability. And the questions that we were asking, heading into early November, heading into mid-November, hey, great, this run is awesome, but is it really sustainable? But we've gotten now to the point where you're starting to see more teams pull away top from bottom in the standings here, and the additions that Ron Francis made on this team have continued to pay off in dividends. Getting Andre Burakovsky was a watershed moment for this team offensively. Justin Schultz quietly has been great for this defense, and he's experiencing some great numbers as well. And then when Philip Grubauer, who was their anointed number one guy, went down late October, it was the ultimate sink or swim moment. Martin Jones really hasn't had a great year. I mean, good years, but not a great year like he had in about 4 or 5 years since he was in San Jose. And the run that he went on, where he won roughly 10 of 13 games, gave this team a complete shot in the arm with confidence, a complete understanding that they have their own security blanket for any breakdowns back in their own zone, something that the Kraken didn't have a luxury of this last season. And again, it all goes back to, if you have goaltending, you're going to be in games, you're going to win games, you're going to steal some games. And for that, a big reason why that they're still tied for second place as we get closer to Christmas here in the Pacific Division.
I got to ask you, I'm a huge believer in culture, and the older I get, the more of a believer I am. And you've been around sports a long time, so I can't imagine you would disagree with this. Jordan Eberle has told me how much fun he has in Seattle, the city, and in that locker room. He loves the Seattle Kraken. How'd that come about?
Yeah, I mean, if there's one guy who's not going to mince any words about his experience, it's Jordan Eberle, and he's told us time after time after time, even going back to last season when times were incredibly tough, that he wanted to be a guy who was going to be a part of the solution, not just a part of setting your base and then moving on after season one and then, seeing what's next. And, I think really, in essence, what is so valuable for him, not just for the winning culture, but also for the influence that he's having with younger players like Matty Beniers, like Shane Wright as well on this roster. His stall is right next to Beniers and right next to Shane Wright on top of that. He was in the same dressing room with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl back when they were just up and coming in Greenhorns in Edmonton. And, you're beginning to see I think practice put into play in what he can do to help influence players who are that young from Edmonton now to players who are this young and are looking to be a big piece of this team's core for a long, long time. And I think, again, it really all goes back to the belief that this team is in games. They are here to win games. But what I appreciate about Eberle is his poise and the ability to let that spread across the entire dressing room. It's part of the culture, again, where you go back to even day one here for this team this season and see the games that they have played, the wins that they have pulled off. There has been no sense of panic, and Eberle's influence has been a big piece of that.
They got thumped, however, the Kraken 6-2 in Tampa Bay last night. They knew from the people I talked to at the club, they knew it was going to be a stiff test. What was the explanation for that?
Well, simply, they just started slow last night, and I thought the Ian Cole goal, just a little under 2 minutes in, just set an omen for, the entire evening and, how much you've got to be ready to answer the bell when you play against the Tampa Bay Lightning. If you're going into Amalie Arena and you're chasing games, it's not going to end well. They needed to start like they had against the Florida Panthers, where Matty Beniers scored 64 seconds into the game. They could then cycle through 4 lines, get rolling, and off and running they went for that entire night. Last night was a little better at once they went down 2-0. It wasn't a pretty picture early in the first roughly 5 to 7 minutes of that game. You also factor in the Eric Chernak goal to make it 2-0. That's a goal that Philip Grubauer is going to want to have back, more often than not. But what I appreciated seeing, at least, signs of life from this team, and maybe not so much last season when they were still in very much a growth phase, was when they went down 2-0 to a team that is as vaunted as Tampa Bay in their own home building. They were able to calm the waters for about roughly 20 minutes. They were able to generate a play that is their bread and butter, the transition game, and Jared McCann came back down ice late first period and made it 2-1, and that momentum carried over into period 2. Once Tampa Bay got a power play goal, it was 3-1, and then the levee broke right from there. So I think more or less, the moral of the story here is you go into Tampa Bay, you need a good start, or else it's going to be an uphill battle all night long, and the Kraken fell prey to that.
We got about 90 seconds. Got to ask you this. They're in a playoff spot, the Kraken, almost at Christmas. The Vancouver Canucks are not. Do you hear any noise, Mike Benton, from up the coast, a little north, that the Kraken are this far ahead of the Canucks, this far into the season? I would think they're disgruntled up there.
Well, yeah, you're certainly hearing some noise as far as what's going on. The Bruce Boudreau situation and the way it's played out. Up and down, and then with Brock Besser, with the Bo Horvat situation, it's not a pretty picture. I think as far as the context of the Kraken and the Canucks and the rivalry, we've got a long way to go here, Rod. I mean, the Kraken haven't won a regular season game, period, in franchise history against the Canucks. So, you've got to crawl before you walk, if that kind of makes sense. But It still is very much a competitive division. I think what the Canucks have proven is that they are capable of bursts where they've shown they're going to be in the mix and make this a tight gap if they can really get their pieces in place with their offense and their ability to come out early on, and then also get solid goaltending, which has been absent from Thatcher Demko for much of this season. But for this Kraken team, they're pretty much waging a battle here against themselves in season 2. When they found out that they've been able to focus more or less on building the foundation of their game, because we're only in season 2 right now, the results have come, and what you're seeing so far is a team, like John Cooper said in Tampa Bay yesterday, that is playoff caliber, and they're trending in the right direction.
Well, they have a fun, positive vibe. They're fun to watch. I'm sure they're, for you, fun to follow and broadcast. And, Mike, I appreciate the time. Merry Christmas, partner. Let's do it again in the new year.
Absolutely, Rod. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you, too.
Sports update coming up next. Viewer takeover in hour 2. Hockey analyst Serena Taylor and post-media columnist Rob Vanstone. It is the RP Show. No Game Plus TV today. We're live on YouTube, on your favorite podcast platform, and WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might fracture your wrist, resulting in a lifetime of painful arthritis. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might hit your head and cause a lifelong injury. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Text 902 518 3033. 902 518 3033. 3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Laid back and kicking it, let's head back to the studio. Here's Rod.
Not a lot of time in this segment, but long enough. Some viewer comments before I jump over to a sports update. Frank Salazar, watching on YouTube. I love your name, Frank. Where are you watching from, by the way? He writes in and says, "Hey, Rod, saw you yesterday at the game. How was the losing bench?" He's talking about the Columbus at Florida game. I was right behind the Blue Jackets bench. Go read my commentary at rodpeterson.com, Frank. I had some thoughts on that. They're not a very good team. Sean O'Neill on YouTube says, "Quit mentioning Trechak. The guy never played in the NHL and was overrated." Right. He's probably the best goaltender there's ever been on this planet. So, Sean, shut your mouth. From Kevin the Medium. Oh, jumping in and says, "Overrated. Are you old enough to have seen him play? One of the best to put on the pads."
Bingo!
Viewer JQ says, "An idea for the RP show team. Give away a hat or a hoodie or swag if we hit a specific like number per show." You got that, guys? To the promo team? And Kevin goes on, Kevin the Medium says, "Why you got to be bashing my Canucks, Rod? They will make the playoffs." Here's the problem. He's an irrational fan. When it comes to his team, he can't separate what the spirits are telling him. That's what I think. Don't at me. And we've been giving a lot of love to the BC Lions already today. We can't love all the BC teams. I've never spent one day in my life being a Vancouver Canucks fan or supporter. I just haven't. I don't see any reason to start now. And that's just human relations. We're not going to like everything that everybody else likes. That's just the way that it is. Let's all get along. Sports update. We mentioned the BC Lions have extended co-general managers Rick Campbell and Neil McAvoy through 2024. So congratulations to both those gentlemen. From the dub, Connor Willett scored twice and contributed a pair of assists as his Saskatoon Blades earned a decisive 8-3 victory over the Medicine Hat Tigers Tuesday night in the WHL. In Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Carter Streak scored twice as Spokane down Moose Jaw 5-2. Oh, yes, they call him the Streak. Not everybody's going to get that, but those that do will love it. In Seattle, Jordan Gustafson netted a hattie, and Seattle trounced Prince George 8-1. Kyle Krenkovic scored twice for the Thunderbirds, while Sam Popovich, Bryce Pickford, and Nico Mijatovic all added goals. The Toronto Raptors return home to take on the Sacramento Kings in NBA play tonight. The Kings have lost 2 straight, but are largely improved this season and bring a 14-12 record into Scotiabank Arena. But forget about the Raptors. The Atlanta Hawks are in action tonight, are they not? Yes, they're at the Orlando Magic. Hashtag true to Atlanta. Last minute of play in hour 1. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have signed cornerback Winston Rose to a 1-year contract extension. He started 17 games last season with the Blue. The sports update for Kinsman, Telemiracle 47. Get your tickets now. The Telemiracle5050.com live raffle will end Friday. We'll be making the draw for this 3rd edition of the 50-50 raffle. We have raised over $1 million the last 2 years, all together, all us Saskies. So get it done. Telemiracle5050.com. Purchase your tickets in the next 48 hours, and all proceeds, of course, going to help out the Kinsman Foundation of Saskatchewan. Next hour, Moose DuPont, Serena Taylor. It's just going to be fantastic. Rob Vanstone from the Leader Post. Lots to get to, everybody. We'll be right back after this brief pause. YouTube and WQE.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM certified pre-owned trucks and make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might fracture your wrist, resulting in a lifetime of painful arthritis. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
It's the 30-year anniversary this week of Gary Bettman being named the commissioner of the National Hockey League. And I just wonder, how do we rate Gary Bettman as the commissioner of the National Hockey League? Quite frankly, I don't have a problem with it. The only problem I have with Gary Bettman was, as a New Yorker and a basketball guy who knew nothing about hockey, he figured it out. Got to give people a chance to figure it out. If they don't figure it out, then that's on them.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. It's me, the champ. Welcome to Hour 2 of the RP Show, broadcasting live today on YouTube and WQEE Radio. No Game Plus television today, and I got some funny thoughts on that. Let's bring in the Moose here in Hour 2, if you don't mind. Maybe you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, or something kooky that I've never even heard of. Moose, this is the... Hey, what'd you do? What did you do? Did you turn the light on? What did you do?
We tinkered a little bit.
Okay. That's what we do around here. We tinker. And it's funny because I open up the 902 text line and I'm just people blasting me that we're not on Game Plus television today. And I'm just like, I think people are going to get with it the longer that we go. But it's like trying to find stuff on the streams here. Like, come on. What's it like in your house, dude? We're sitting here, Paramount Plus, Paramount, Netflix, Amazon Prime, YouTube. It's no different. Eventually, you'll find it. To sit and write a letter and be upset about it, it's just go and find it. Is it an old people thing that the young people are conditioned to find stuff? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. And it's a little bit of like, you know, if it's not in the one place, the first place you look for it, I'm sending a letter. Like, I won't open the second door or the third door just to take a peek and see if it's there. It's not always where I have it. And you know what? I mean, I get it, but at the same time, we're not that hard to find. Just flip open the YouTube app. It's right next to your television where you were surfing for Game Plus anyways.
Yeah. I can. This is my prediction. We've got Kevin the Medium watching right now. Here's my Seeing the Future. This is where it gets really kooky. But this is like every day. It gets kooky at this time of the show. I don't know why. Did I mention Serena Taylor coming up this hour and Rob Vanstone? They've always got their strong thoughts. It's been fun today, if you've noticed. I'll say it again. I can't. I was going into the Panthers game last night, and somebody said to me that the CFL talk on your show is boring. And I'm like, yeah, well, don't listen then. That would be like those of us that were raised on Don Cherry, which we were, saying, Don, don't talk about the American Hockey League. Nobody knows those teams. Right? And you're the guy that made me aware of that. How do we even know about the American Hockey League? Because of Grape's stories and reading his books, right? That's me. And it's the Rod Pedersen Show. So we're going to talk about it if we want to talk about it. And we're going to talk about the NHL too. But John in Edmonton writes in and says, what do you have to say to all the CFL fans who don't like Thursday or Sunday games? Because the schedule came out yesterday. What I have to say to them is, deal with it and stop bitching. I said that I was going to give you I didn't say it, but I was thinking it. Yellowstone line. How far are you into season 5 of Yellowstone?
We're 4 full episodes in, episode 5 tonight.
Okay, there isn't too much spoiler here, but I'll just say that, John Dutton, played by Kevin Costner, says in it, it's in a preview. It was in coming up on the next Yellowstone. He goes, the world's being run by cowards these days. You've seen that line, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's right. It is. But then in episode 5, he goes on to say, all you got to do is learn how to blame and complain. And I'm like, no spit. Or as my guy Don Narcisse says down in Houston, no stuff. Right? That's exactly it. And cowards will lie and they'll blame and they'll complain.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, they're not the ones who win. They're not the ones who win. So that's why, and my phone blew up this morning that people are upset that the Riders are claiming that my report was wrong, that Pete Costanza declined the offer to be the Saskatchewan offensive coordinator. And I'm like, that I should be mad. They're like, that's a lie. And I'm like, I don't really care because I know the truth. So I think we could all see where this is going.
Yeah.
The walls are closing in over there. Ted in Red Deer says Gary Bettman is a basketball guy who figured out hockey on the job, and Rod is a hockey guy who figured out football. Give people a chance, people. Boy, am I ever glad that there was no Twitter or Facebook when I started as the voice of the Riders in 1999, because funny he says that. I read a story about Benton years ago that when he got named commissioner of the NHL, somebody threw him a puck and he tried to unscrew it. That's how unfamiliar he was with hockey or the National Hockey League. And I know there's a lot of people that don't like him, but I've been around him a lot. And I just look at somebody's record, somebody's body of work. What more do you need? And I don't know if Bettman's responsible for all of what's gone on, but yet I don't think over 30 years you could screw up and stay this long if you were a screw up. Agree or disagree?
Agree. You wouldn't. And I think one of the issues that people have just from the outset is that Winnipeg left during his tenure, but guess what? They came back, and that there hasn't been expansion to places like Quebec City again since the Nordique left. But those are financial things, and we talked about how much better the league is financially now. The revenues are up. The television network deals are better. It's in more homes, available to more people. I think there's way more good than bad that's happened over the last 3 decades since Bettman has been in charge.
I'll just say this for the Canadian Football League fans, because several have tuned in. Here is your update today. The BC Lions have extended their co-general managers for 2 more seasons, Neil McAvoy and Rick Campbell. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have signed defensive back Winston Rose for 1 more year. And I think that's it. We've debated a little bit the schedule coming out, but that was yesterday. Turning our attention to today, number 1, our rock star of the day yesterday was Ron Duguay, the Rangers great. And Serena, who's coming up next, said, can you just imagine being with him and just hearing his stories? And by the way, I'm sober. I believe Duguay is too. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to check that. But he's only 2.5 hours up the coast. I'm like, let's make it happen. See if he wants to bring along his date, Sarah Palin. Like, do you follow Dugay's Instagram stories? You must watch his Instagram stories.
Of course.
You notice how he's like filming Sarah Palin and she's highly uncomfortable. She's like, put that thing away. And you can hear him giggling as he's filming. It's the best thing. It's the best thing of content anywhere in the world right now.
It's so good. It's so good, Rod. It's 2.5 hours. Get in the car, take the trip, make it happen, show up at his front door, bring a casserole, whatever you need to do, and have some fun.
Be so much fun. The poll question today, before we go any further, for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center is this. It's day 12 of our NHL Jersey Bracket Challenge. Darren's come up with this. These are the retro reverse jerseys this year, the Washington Capitals and Columbus Blue Jackets. We're asking you to vote on one of them. And to me, it's not even close. I voted for Washington. Darren voted for Washington. Let me just get a quick check of what YouTube, 70%. Clark tells me 70% on YouTube voting for it. And 92% on YouTube, on Twitter, voting for the Washington Capitals. I think it's awesome. And just so you know, an hour ago, we went deep into last night's 12 NHL games. Ovi's chase of the Gretzky record. He hit 800 last night, and we're very excited to announce that we are now nationally ranked in Canada as a hockey podcast. I'm very excited about that because that is not easy to do. Tonight in the National Hockey League, you're very lucky, Darren, because there are two games, one doubleheader. Montreal at Ottawa, which is, by the way, tomorrow's Jersey matchup. Spoiler alert, in the retro reverse. And later on, the Vancouver Canucks at the Calgary Flames. And I have to be honest with you, I love when the Oilers and Flames games are staggered. I don't like when they play on the same night at all. I don't like it. They say men's brains are only wired to be able to concentrate on one thing. Keep the jokes out of it. I just believe that's the case. And they say women can concentrate on many things at one time, but men can't. I'm living proof that that's the truth. Said it a million times. Like, I'm sitting there last night at the Columbus, Florida game, and my phone's going off about what Jack Campbell's a sieve in Nashville, and this is going on, that's going on. I'm like, Ovi's going on. I can't do it. Can you?
Only to an extent. My mind can go in different ways and can be thinking about four things at the same time, but my body can't execute on multiple things at the same time, if that makes sense, right? I can't put those thoughts in my head and then act on two things at once. Don't have that ability. Impossible. So, I'm about halfway there.
Couple things, just as I say, this is where the show gets kooky. It's 1:11 Eastern, by the way. Visualize a positive outcome.
Beautiful.
And it will be observed. 11:11 Mountain. I don't mind turning this over to the viewers. This is actually Darren's last segment of the day, so if you have something to say, you chime in anytime, partner. But regarding those jerseys, Ted in Red Deer says the Capitals jersey makes me think of Ole the goalie, Olaf Kolzak. Well, an hour ago, we talked about that. I said, what are these? Who's the first player you think of? Moose said Olaf Kolzak and Peter Bondra. I said Bondra only, and to be honest, a little bit of Jagger. And for Columbus, I said Cole Sillinger because why not? The Columbus has been around for 10 minutes. How can they have a retro jersey? The fact is it's been 20 years, but it's been 20 years of crap. It reminds me of Roy Shivers when he was the Rider general manager. Like, jerseys, man. It's one of the biggest things that we do in sports is jerseys and merchandising. And by the way, I've got a lot of people writing me and asking for our link to our merchandise, so I hope we're up to snuff there. But when we went to black jerseys with the Roughriders, holy smokes, Darren, you'd have been a teen. How much do you remember of when the Saskatchewan Roughriders went to black jerseys and pants? Do you remember that furor?
Oh, yeah, I do. I think that was Kent and Keith days. I think Corey Holmes was with the Riders at that point. Matt Dominguez. These are some of the guys I grew up with watching. So, no, I remember that very, very well. And I actually liked it as something different.
We all loved it. They sold like hotcakes, but our general manager was Roy Shivett. He is the former St. Louis Cardinals running back. And he was the first, one half of the first African-American coach and GM tandem in pro football history, him and Danny Barrett. It was his idea to go with the black jerseys, and frankly, I liked Roy. By the end, we hated each other. That's usually how my relationships go. But anyways, Roy said, you can't have a black jersey because of tradition. We're green and we're white. And Roy says, yeah, you got a tradition, all right? You got a tradition of shit. And he was right. Yeah, who cares about your tradition? You've been awful. Let's try something new here. That was Roy. Sheesh. I don't know why. And I don't mind. I said we would turn it over to the viewers here.
Yeah.
Allie in Texarkana says, I'm with my mom in the car, and my mom is laughing so hard at Rod right now. Thank you. That's my goal, is to make people laugh and make them happy. That's actually the truth. Jake Hughes says, who do you believe will be traded first, Bo Horvat or Brock Besser?
Spicy.
We did, obviously, Jake wasn't watching the other day. Kevin the Medium, can you fill him in? That's his dad. We're not really going to get into NHL trade rumors here. Although we are now a nationally ranked hockey podcast, there's enough of them to do that. That's not going to be us. And until the Canucks realize who they are, because I don't think they know who they are, I don't think they're going to trade anybody. How many hours, add up days, weeks, months, were wasted on trading JT Miller last year, and then they ended up not doing it and re-signing him? And by the way, where did that get them? I don't want to be that show. You, Darren?
Fair. No, fair. There's enough other shows that'll do that. And some people like it. I mean, I have time for it, some time for it, not a lot of time for it. I think, the teams sit around and spend time thinking about it too, and it never materializes. So there's obviously some time wasted there. But I'm with you on the Canucks. On the, in the small bit of the rumor thing is they got to figure out what they are first before we start talking about trades. We got to figure out if they're in or if they're out, because they go on a run and they look like a playoff team and a team that can, be okay. And then they go the other way and they kind of muddle. So once they figure out what they are, then we can start deciding if we're going to trade these pieces.
That's the thing is we're not even at Christmas yet. And I don't blame Jake. We got teams that are really out of it already. What did I say? Ottawa, Anaheim the other night. Why would you watch that? Neither one's going to be even in contention for the playoffs, let alone to win the whole thing. And for Vancouver, if they're talking about selling off pieces, now what does that tell you? And I'd rather talk about the teams that are in it. And tonight, Montreal at Ottawa, Detroit at Minnesota, and Vancouver at Calgary. These are big games. I don't think the Canucks are just quite out of it yet. Moose, thank you. Great job today. Good job on the lighting. We'll chat you later. Yeah. Serena Taylor coming up next. Now, she may completely disagree. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. So any questions you have for her, load them up. Rob Vanstone on the way, too. It's the RP Show. No TV today. We're on the streams. YouTube Live, your favorite podcast platform, and WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
Easy snacking all around. something everyone can love.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might injure your back in a way that causes nerve damage or partial loss of mobility. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right. Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Roughriders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might hit your head and cause a lifelong injury. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
All right, we're back, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. No television today, no Game Plus, but we are on the streams, YouTube Live, and on the key, WQEE. And you see, we've got our hockey analyst with us, Serena Taylor. I don't think she minds me saying Canada's first female play-by-play broadcaster. And I hope you've come with some opinions. They're still talking about your last appearance in the Connor Bedard thing. What can you encapsulate again? What was your opinion on him?
My opinion was that he underperformed at the juniors in August. That was my opinion, to kind of umbrella the whole thing.
Yeah, okay, good. Well, it was funny because, I don't know, it was that night or the next day that I got a text from an NHL scout that said, she's right, by the way. And I said, I know, and I don't need to tell her that. You didn't need to be told, did you?
But you told me.
I did. Well, of course. It's a compliment. So there's a lot of things that we can and will get into with Serena here today, but you might as well jump right in the middle of it. We're talking NHL, obviously. Kevin the Medium and his son Jake are talking about their Vancouver Canucks. And their question was, who will they trade first, Brock Besser or who was the other one? Not that it really matters. And I said, I don't really want to talk about the Canucks at this point. Oh, Bo Horvat. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Clark. And Jake says they need to decide what they're going to do, rebuild or be mediocre. And I'm like, that's a conversation from the last decade for the Vancouver Canucks, don't you think?
Absolutely. I never predict who is going to get traded anywhere because I don't think any of us have ever been able to predict anything. It always kind of comes out of nowhere. So that's a really tough call. Do I think they need to do something? Yes, but it's kind of like we were talking about Anaheim this morning. When they lost their big player, they had nothing left. And I kind of think that the same thing happened in Vancouver. When the Sedins were done, Now they don't have that go-to guys kind of thing.
Have never been replaced. That's a really good point. And here's the thing, folks. The more that you're on, the more that she's on, you're going to realize she doesn't need to be teed up. She doesn't need to be provoked. I don't really even know what to ask you because she's the best there is. That's a fact. So I'm just going to start with the easiest thing, and we'll see where it goes. And that's the Edmonton Oilers, who won in Nashville last night 6-3. A viewer earlier on said, how come the Oilers always score the most goals when Jack Campbell's in net? Do you want to take that one?
I know they have to. I think that's kind of obvious. But I think the last time I was on here, we were talking about Jack Campbell, and I really feel like for a while, some of the former Oiler goaltenders were defending him, saying that they need to cut him some slack, they need to whatever. And he came from a high-pressure environment, so this can't be new for him. Last time I said I don't think he's hit his stride, but by now, I really feel like if he hasn't quite hit his stride, who knows what's really going to happen. I'm not sure he's the answer for the Oilers.
But does he need to be? My contention on that is Stuart Skinner. I said last year he's the best goalie they have, and he's the only one that remained from last year, and I still think he's the best goalie that they have. The only reason, as you know, Jack Campbell was starting was because it was back-to-back nights. Mm-hmm. Skinner could and should, I believe, be the guy going into the playoffs. Agree or disagree?
I have to agree because of process of elimination. I don't have a whole lot of faith in Skinner to perform every night as well. And I was reading an article today about how a lot of NHL teams are using two goaltenders now and how it's working and what's happening. And I've never been a fan of it. Growing up an Oiler fan, we had Andy Moog and Grant Fuhr at the same time. I've just never been a fan of it because it doesn't work. It just doesn't. Yes, yeah, bouncing back and forth.
Generally not, and Tampa Bay Lightning would agree, but every team's different. I mean, the Pittsburgh Penguins with Matt Murray and Marc-Andre Fleury worked there. You just eventually can't keep them all, and that's what happened with the Oilers. You can't end up keeping them all. John Ohm in Winnipeg writes in and says, Miss Taylor, what's on your T-shirt?
Great question. This is it's from last year, I think. It's from the Terry Fox Foundation. So every year, Adidas releases some Terry Fox shoes, Terry Fox shirts. This is this past year. I have one from the year before as well. But you make a donation and support the Terry Fox Foundation, and you get this amazing shirt. I was going to wear a long sleeve, but it's hot here.
It was a very good guess by John Ohm, but there is a photo of Chris Nyland that looks almost identical to that. So you're not wearing a T-shirt of Chris Nyland on it. Not yet, anyways.
I probably never will, but I don't recollect him having this much hair.
You'd be surprised. So listen, last hour, we talked about last night's games in the National Hockey League. There are 12. And moving into hour 2, which is where we are, we like to talk about tonight's games. And there are only 3. Montreal's at Ottawa, Detroit's at Minnesota, and Vancouver is at Calgary. Those 2 Canadian matchups are featured on a doubleheader on Sportsnet. Any thoughts on tonight's slate? There's only 3 games, which I don't mind. That's easier for a squirrel like me.
It's a bizarre night for sports.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot going on. It's very rare that happens. Montreal and Ottawa, I think, is probably, in my opinion, going to be the best game. I think it'll be a really good game because I think both teams have surprised a lot of people this year. Vancouver and Calgary, you're probably going to get what you get out of that.
Well, give me your take on, if you could put a conversation or a camera on our conversations outside the program, I think people would enjoy them. For instance, the Calgary Flames.
Well, we had a big talk about the Flames this morning. As much as I will put any energy into the Flames, we had that type of talk about it. But I said to Rod this morning that it's really interesting because down here, everybody thinks they won out on this trade. I still don't think that they did, but they all think that they're just grazing through it. They love Tkachuk down here. But like I said to Rod, they only have one more point than the Flames do. And Tkachuk, he's putting the puck in the net randomly, but it's not really in effective times for his team. And like you said, last night's goal was a little bit of fluff. It's just they're not that much further off than the Flames are. So it's a kind of an interesting situation for everybody in both those sides to be in, because neither one team is doing what I think their fans expected to have happen after that big trade.
Well, it's kind of an oversimplification, I think, to look at it this way. Panthers won the President's Trophy last year. The Flames win the division in the regular season. They both get bounced in round 2. They make this massive trade. And as we sit here today, they're both on the fringe of the playoffs. You would wonder if either team got better.
Great question. I think that the Flames were in a situation where there was some stuff going on that they felt like they had to make the trade. Losing Gaudreau obviously didn't help them either, but I was shocked from a Panthers standpoint that they made the trade that they did. I'm not really sure why they chose to do that, but maybe there was stuff going on there too.
They've made the public contention that it was all about money and not about hockey, which explains a lot. Here we go. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in and wants to know what you have against the Calgary Flames.
Well, I'm an Oilers fan. Next question.
I thought you'd
Come
go
on, Jeff.
far deeper than that.
Oh, what don't I have against them?
Allie in Texarkana. Hey, Serena, love the hat. Do you recall where you got it? That is a vintage, like 87 Canada Cup lid.
This hat, whenever I wear it, even my own father wants to commit robbery from me. Every time I wear it, in Canada, people ask me where I got it. I think I bought it online somewhere, but I haven't seen it since. And it's the only one I've seen of its kind.
It is nice. Well, speaking of Canada, by the way, we will get your World Junior thoughts because the team was announced on Monday. Tournament begins Boxing Day. And the fact is, we did plan to be there. That was the plan when we left the World Juniors in August in Edmonton, but things have changed. We will not be in Nova Scotia, but clearly we'll be following it very closely. And we will get to your take on this year's team in a second. But Wayne in Victoria, BC says the Flames and Oilers are big disappointments after the early season starts for both teams. Flames, I can agree with, but would you say the Oilers have been a disappointment?
No. Not they had disappointing times. I think there's been ebbs and flows in the season, but if I'm going to look back on this season so far and say, am I disappointed? Not really. I mean, look at the points these guys are putting up. I mean, it's not always about the players themselves individually, but you can't take away from even Hyman had a hat trick last night, and everybody's putting points up on the board.
To the World Juniors, not shockingly, Connor Bedard makes the team. Not shockingly, Shane Wright makes the team. It looks like an offensively loaded team compared to what we saw in Edmonton last year. And maybe before we even get into the minutia of it, what is it about the World Juniors that you love so much?
It's pure. It's just good. It's guys are playing for their country. They're not playing for money. I think that's what I like about all international tournaments, and that's what sets it a cut above. I feel like every year when I watch the juniors and I turn around and watch the NHL again, it just has this level it's leveled down compared to the World Juniors. But only Canadians love the juniors as much as like we're the only country that is obsessed with it.
You won't even hear about it in South Florida. Correct?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
No. Plymouth, Michigan is where the USA camp's been going on right now. But just the question I was asking, I don't know how much you know of the prospects. If you saw enough of the World Juniors last year, you were there. If this year's team would beat last year's team. I mean, not having Mason McTavish is a big blow. They could have him. He's eligible to be there age-wise. Anaheim's not sending him.
I feel like it's always tough to say. I feel like every year when we look at the roster, when it comes out, we know we're going to be missing some guys because they're in the NHL, but you can never really tell how it's going to vibe until a few games in. I don't think anybody would have realized last year how clutch Mason McTavish became. We all knew he was probably going to be the best player, but the way he stepped up his game, and Zellweger, I mean, he was unbelievable. There were so many guys that stepped up to the plate that I think that it's going to be the same this year like it is every other year.
In that they come together as the tournament goes along?
It's hard to determine. It's hard to determine who's going to really, some players are just meant to perform at that level and under that type of pressure. And sometimes it comes out differently.
Kevin the Medium says, Serena and I need to watch the World Juniors gold medal game together. So you guys can make that happen via FaceTime.
Yeah, we got
like
to get a defibrillator because we almost needed one last year.
When did you realize that team in Edmonton was special for Canada last year?
I think the second game. I think it was the second game. I don't remember specifically, but I knew when guys like Stankoven were just really stepping it up. And you could see guys like Bedard just couldn't keep up with the rest of the guys that were elevating their game. And McTavish lifted up. But I really enjoyed watching Stankoven last year. And that's when I thought every line, because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Stankoven was on the third line, I believe, at the time.
Well, they changed the lines.
Right. They had to. But at that point, you could really tell Canada had a good team that played well together, and they all played really well. Their defensemen were unbelievable.
I'm more interested in your answer to this question than you can imagine.
Here we go.
John in Edmonton. Serena, what do you have to say to the CFL fans who don't want Thursday or Sunday games in the schedule?
Thursday or Sunday CFL games in the schedule?
Yes.
I just want to know why. Like, I'm just, not to be negative, I just am curious why they wouldn't want it. I mean, it's obviously at some points in the year, it's a direct contrast with the NFL, and there's other things going on, but I mean, I don't know.
Well, the reason I was interested, I thought you were going to say that you don't watch the CFL, but that's not totally correct. You went to games last year.
I watched.
You did work in the CFL too.
I watch some here whenever they're on. A lot of times they're on the NFL Network, or now that I have ESPN Plus, they show all the games. I like to watch the games, but for me, I don't really care. But I know he's asking what I think about what other people care. Sometimes I feel like people like to complain about things that don't really matter, and I just don't know why.
Bingo. I was going to, now that I think about you covering the CFL, I was going to ask for a Roy Shivers story, but maybe we'll wait until after the break, because that's when post-media columnist Rob Vanstone will join us live, and a lot of things to talk about with RV. We'll be right back. It's the RP Show. No Game Plus TV today, but we are live streaming on YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, of course, and on the key, WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might fracture your wrist, resulting in a lifetime of painful arthritis. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca. You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might injure your back in a way that causes nerve damage or partial loss of mobility. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM-certified pre-owned trucks. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big, and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Sports talk with a twist. That's what we do here. And, hey, I do have my Pats jacket on. That's a fact. There are in the dub tonight 6 games, including Spokane at Regina, Medicine Hat at PA, Kelowna at Swifty, Edmonton at Lethbridge, Tri-City at Everett, and Vancouver at Victoria. For the junior hockey fans, and we'll get around to what the CFL fans want to talk about. Rob Vanstone joining us as promised from Post Media. Serena sends her regards, RV. We couldn't fit us both on the screen here, so she just wanted to, I wanted to say, hey, Ted in Red Deer says, Rob Vanstone, what an awesome writer. Love his columns. He and Murray's Rider Rumblings are must-watch as well. Talking about you guys' podcast over there at the LP. Rob, can I ask you this? Would you agree with the assessment that the NHL hockey right now, if not the best ever, is as good as it's been in a long time right now? How do you feel about this year's caliber of NHL play?
Absolutely. It's been tremendous, especially when you look at the young stars that are in with the way I mean, Connor McDavid's not even 26 years old yet. And they're just all the players are so fast now. I mean, you and I grew up watching this, the defensemen who were 6'4", 200 and just could not move, and the lumbering forwards, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many players. Even I was watching some highlights from a game 20 years ago, and I couldn't believe how much faster the game is than it was 20 years ago. I used to think that I was reserved for watching highlights from the 50s or 60s or 70s, but you look back even 20 years ago, the pace at which they play, it's just staggering. It goes from end to end in the blink of an eye. Right, Candy?
Let me ask you. Yeah, he's got his dog Candy here, and for our radio listeners, trust me, he does. My cousin Christine's watching in Medicine Hat, and she says Candy is so in love with Rob. I'm sure you can just see it in her eyes.
Vice versa. She was so excited to find out she was on the show today, so thanks for booking her.
How about
the biggest star? Absolutely. Hey, the Winnipeg Jets, man, something's happened from their fans. They've been writing in here and saying, Rod, can you sort it out? Are we good or not? What are we? Do you have the answer to that, Rob? What are the Winnipeg Jets?
Well, I think this is the team that people were expecting them to be last year. They didn't really make a lot of huge changes coming into this year or this season. I think they're just getting more out of that talent. And they're doing that without Nikolai Ehlers playing right now. Connor Hellebuck is looking like the early Vezina Trophy favorite. I think Rick Bowness has just done an amazing job with what they had. I think they just needed a fresh coat of paint there. And you look at the way Mark Scheifele's playing now. He's got 17 goals and playing well in both ends of the ice. I think Blake Wheeler has done so much ever since having the captaincy removed. It'd be easy for a player at his stage of his career with all he's done and all he's meant to that city and that franchise to maybe mail it in every now and then. And Blake Wheeler, I think, has set the tone by not even having a letter on his jersey anymore, but there's nights that he's still looks like he's the de facto captain of the Winnipeg Jets with the example that he sets. And I think it just permeates. Coming into the season, a lot of people thought that either or both of Scheifele and Wheeler would be gone. And I think one of the biggest reasons they played so well is that they're both back and playing the way that people remember them playing in 2017, 2018.
Looking at the other end of the standings, and you residing in the city where Connor Bedard hangs his hat right now with the Regina Pats, have you spent any time thinking about where he's going to end up as the number 1 overall pick in next summer's draft?
Well, I was kind of hoping if the Jets were going to have a bad year that this would be the one. you really do wonder. I haven't actually spent a lot of time looking at the bottom of the standings this year, unlike last year, because the Jets are occupying a different constituency. But if there is a year to have a bad team, I think this is the best year that you can have it since 2015 when Connor McDavid was selected. I think Adam Fantilli is going to be a really good pick too. It might be it might be one of those drafts where as long as you have one of the top 2 picks, you're going to be in really good shape. But to be honest, I haven't looked at the bottom of the standings too much. I did too much of that last year.
Well, it's fine. A couple of years ago, I said it would be Arizona, and while they're not even dead last right now. Anaheim is. What a turtle race for the end. But you make a good point about Fantilli and Mishkov, who won't be at the World Juniors for political reasons. It's a little like the NFL draft. You're going to get a good quarterback coming out, right, in the National Football League, just like the NHL. You're going to get one even if you're picking 3rd or maybe even 4th. Can't bring you on without an obligatory question about the Saskatchewan Roughriders and this offseason so far. It's been entertaining, hasn't it, RV? What's your take?
Yeah, the offseason has been more interesting than the regular season was after the first 5 or 6 weeks. Although I guess the regular season had its intrigue and its drama, but the football itself was just dreary. I really liked what I heard from Kelly Jeffrey, the new offensive coordinator, when he met the media on Tuesday. He said, it's easier to win a press conference than it is to win a game. You and I have been to a lot of press conferences and a lot of games, but I think a lot of the skepticism that accompanied the Roughriders hiring of Kelly Jeffrey, and who knows how many people turned them down before they finally hired Kelly Jeffrey. But I think based upon what he said and what he did during that media gathering on Tuesday, I think people, at least me, or at least I, left that with feeling more comfortable about what they've got. I think the bigger issue here is not who the offensive coordinator is. I think he's going to be a good one. It's can they give him the talent that allows him to demonstrate that he's a good offensive coordinator? Where's the quarterback? Can they fix the offensive line? They need some receivers. They've got a good running game, and maybe Kelly Jeffrey played a role in that last year, or likely did as a running backs coach. But that's a question to be answered. That's one box that is checked off now that they have an offensive coordinator in place, but it doesn't matter if they don't have an offense. I go back to 1996 when Paul Christ was in his early years as a coach in football, and he was a Roughriders offensive coordinator. He took all sorts of heat. He's ended up coaching in NCAA, football. Had a tremendously successful career south of the border as a coach. But when he was here, it was a revolving door quarterback. All they really had was Robert Mims at running back in 1996, and even Paul Christ, who went on to enjoy a great coaching career, couldn't do much without the talent around him. And I think that's a challenge now facing the Roughriders to give Kelly Jeffrey a chance.
Paul Christ went on to win an Orange Bowl, as you know, with Wisconsin. He's not there anymore, but that's the point. The offensive coordinator is the chef, and he's being given the ingredients for the meal. But if they're not great, how good's the meal going to be? I wonder what the expectations are of this guy, Rob. Let's be honest with you. The Riders are behind the 8 ball going into 2023, unless they pull a rabbit out of the hat in free agency. I mean, do you see that happening? Do you have any thoughts on who the quarterback's going to be?
Well, I don't think it's going to be Bo Levi Mitchell. If Hamilton is traded for his rights, you would think in so doing they would throw everything at Bo Levi Mitchell in order to get him to play there. And I think if you're Bo Levi Mitchell, you want to come into a situation where you know who your coach or your GM or offensive coordinator even are going to be a year or 2 or 3 down the road. And I'm not sure that there's that comfort level here, unless the Roughriders can simply overwhelm him with money. But I think the financial package that is offered to Bo Levi Mitchell will be pretty much the same everywhere. It's just a matter of about it being the best fit. And I'm just not sure that's the best fit for a quarterback who's looking, who thinks is going to have options beyond the 2023 season and wants some stability. So I think you're looking at, if Trevor Harris is a free agent, the Roughriders, I'm sure, will go after him with a lot of energy. I wonder if it's going to end up being Dane Evans. That to me seems like the most logical fit, considering that Hamilton now has the rights to Bo Levi Mitchell. Where does Dane Evans end up? I could see that being a good fit here.
Well, RV, I appreciate the insight. Quick but fun. As always, we covered a lot of ground. NHL, Jets, Connor Bedard, and the CFL. Merry Christmas, my friend. Tally-ho. Keep in touch.
Yes, and enjoy where you are. We've got a snowfall warning here in Regina. Thanks so much for your time, Rod. Merry Christmas to you and all your
Absolutely.
All your fans.
You bet. Thanks for coming on, bud. The great Rob Vanstone from Post Media. The award-winning Rob Vanstone. We can finally say it. Overtime is next, everybody. Stick around. We'll be right back on YouTube Live, your favorite podcast platform, of course, and WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might injure your back in a way that causes nerve damage or partial loss of mobility. Take safer steps with WorkSafeSask.ca.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of time. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might injure your knee, leading to joint damage or even a permanent disability. Take safer steps with WorkSafeSask.ca.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world, thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Okay, it's overtime. It is the final segment. It's brought to you by our friends at the Four Seasons Sports Palace, the Greek Freak over there, and Jennifer, who's been watching today and chiming in. They're your home for the UFC and the National Football League. I got a few things to get to here with Serena. I will say this. The Calgary Flames and Vancouver Canucks meet tonight for the first time this season. Flames coming off an overtime loss at Toronto on Saturday, followed by a shootout loss in Montreal. Canucks saw a 3-game winning streak come to an end with a 3-0 loss to visiting Minnesota on Saturday. There's 3 games in the NHL tonight, including the Senators' home to the Montreal Canadiens. I'm going to throw this out here because she's such a great sports gal. We've spent 0 time on this today. And if you have questions or comments for her, fire them at us in the YouTube chat or the 902 text line. But Serena, defending champion France, I'm reading from the Canadian Press Wire, as you see, faces first-time semifinalist Morocco today at the World Cup in Qatar. Is that over? Are you following it?
What, the game?
Yeah.
It starts at 2 o'clock Eastern.
I didn't know that.
Starts right after this.
France held off England 2-1 in a 2-1 quarterfinal. Morocco became the first African team to advance to the semifinals with a 1-0 upset of Portugal. The winner will play Argentina in Sunday's final. So that is the extent, as you know, of me following that. Don't think less of me, but scale of 1 to 10, how are you excited for what I just read?
Well, I know what time the game starts, and if I wasn't busy, I would definitely be watching it. Absolutely.
Okay. Your World Cup synopsis in 60 seconds or less? What is it?
Oh, it's probably going to be France and Argentina. Obviously, Argentina's already in the final. I mean, Morocco's upset some teams. They were kind of like Croatia, but can only go so far. I feel like Argentina's going to take it, though.
I'm with you. I'm sure you can bet on it at Bet Regal. You can bet on Grand Slam curling at our exclusive betting partner. I saw that. Allie in Texarkana says, I love when Serena is on the show. She is so awesome. Yes, she is. And you want to thank her for
absolutely
the support of your wonderful company?
She even supported me when I'm not here because she has my back when people are trying to talk smack.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, you heard.
She's got me. Yeah, she's got me. I love that.
Well, while you're on it, she's a supporter of your company, and in exchange for coming on, let's promote that business for you.
Yeah, so my company's called Eat Fitness. It stands for Educate and Train. And I do online nutrition, fitness coaching, which is super great because it allows me time to come on here, but it allows my clients time to kind of work on their own. And I can work from anywhere, and so can they.
There you go. Eat Fitness. Look it up. Coach Serena on Instagram. Arlen Bruce III is watching. He says, Morocco or France? Great show as always, RP. I think France is more athletic. We will see. He says, happy holidays, RP show. Also, what about Jacques Chapdelaine for head coach and GM for Saskatchewan? Love UAB, but they already have a coach and general manager. No point talking about it. And I don't think Jacques Chapdelaine would be in line for the job anyways. So love it. Love you. No point talking about it. Jenna in Southern California writes in, and she says, Sabres are 7 points out of the wild card, I believe. They were big winners last night.
28. They have 28 points.
Yeah. Well, you looked that up?
This morning I looked because they won 6-0
over LA.
Night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, they have really been tearing it up. And we actually had this conversation this morning about, like Rod said, he's like, Anaheim's got to have the youngest team in the league. I was like, well, what about Buffalo? Buffalo has a younger team, but I feel like Buffalo is putting out a lot more than Anaheim is.
Somebody want to look that up for us? Youngest team in the NHL. One of the beautiful things about this show and this business is introducing ourselves to the viewers. And I'd like to think they know enough about me, but they don't know that you spent a lot of years in Anaheim, Southern California, so following the Ducks. So talk about your love/hate relationship with the Anaheim Ducks.
Oh, boy. Well, I definitely, there's no love lost there. I'm not a Ducks fan at all. Never have been. They obviously had a lot of, everyone's like, but they have the most Saskatchewan kids. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care about stuff like that because you know what? Their fans don't even know that. They don't care about it. All they care about down here and over there is that Canada hasn't won a Stanley Cup since blah, 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 blah. That's all they care about. They don't care where the players are from. They don't care that they take the trophy back to Canada, back to wherever they're going to take it. They have no idea anyway. But yeah, I'm not a fan. That was my first experience living in the US, which is a completely different animal from living in Canada. So going directly from Saskatchewan, which is a hockey hotbed, to living in Anaheim, I was blown away by just the lack of caring. People just don't care.
I used to think that the 49th parallel was just this virtual line and there wasn't much difference between the two countries. And now I couldn't have been more wrong.
Yeah,
clearly.
It's night and day different.
Thank you, Ryan O'Radio at WQE. Says another great show, RP. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you having us on your wonderful station daily. Jenna goes on to say, Paterka, Cousins, and Quinn. Oh, my. Do you think the Buffalo Sabres will be heard from?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. We all saw Dylan Cousins. We still, here's the thing I think with a lot of players, and going back to the conversation about living in Southern California, the players that play in these environments don't get a lot of exposure in Canada. One of the things I think that knocked my socks off the most was watching Drew Doughty play live and realizing how good of a hockey player he is. You can really see when someone plays live versus when you're watching them on TV, how talented, how aware they are of the whole ice. And Drew Doughty's one of those people. And I think that's what happens in Buffalo. People underestimate them. Even same thing with New Jersey. I don't think anybody expected New Jersey to come out the way they are, but yeah, I think Buffalo is kind of waiting in the wings. It's going to happen.
Even the Devils general manager, Tom Fitzgerald, said he's surprised at what the New Jersey Devils
are.
And we only have a minute, but this is why she is the best hockey analyst out there, and I'm not even going to draw the distinction, male or female. She is. You pointed out the Ducks, why they're struggling so much. It's not the coach. It's not talent. It's their captain's gone.
If your captain is going to retire, why would you not set up a plan in place so that you essentially come back to nothing? And I'm not saying they don't have talented players, but like Rod said to me earlier, when was the last time you heard about Zegras? When was the last time you heard about, I don't even remember.
Troy Terry.
Yeah, guys that should really be performing, but it's a different environment there, but set your team up.
And the fallout is the 32nd team in the NHL. All right, Serena, thank you. Appreciate it. We'll see you on the World Junior Special.
Absolutely.
All right, and also thank you to Mike Benton. Thank you to Rob Vanstone. Thank you to the Moose. Thank you to the entire crew at IKS for flying the ship. Most importantly, thank you to you, the viewers, as Kevin the Medium says, wow, 2 hours go by fast. Love the show. Love you guys. See you tomorrow, noon Eastern, here on McFly, hello.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. Awesome. Let's go. Approved.